Protection with Blessings. Maṅgala Sutta. By Venerable Uttamo Thera. 1. Not consorting with fools. In the suttas, firstly, the Buddha talked about what should not be done. After that, he continued to talk about what should be done. Someone will has problems and suffering if he acts something which should not be done. Therefore, it is more important. This is not difficult to understand, but if we observe the current world situations in every aspect of it, something is going wrong. A sentient being, after taking birth into the human world, he or she is not alone and with family members surrounding them. So man has companions. Each family is the smallest part of the society. Not only human but also animal is the same. The differences between him are: a man has knowledge. Every man has two kinds of companion. Natural selection or send by the law of karma, and later with one's own choice or selection. By the law of karma, you meet this or that family member. With one of the past karmas, someone was born into the family of fishing village, into a Buddhist family, etc. Later in life one makes one's own choice and consorting with drunkards, drug addicts, gamblers, etc. These are fools, and with Buddhists who are practicing Dharma, etc. These are wise men. There is a lot to say and contemplate about for these two kinds of companions. And then we will see the importance of the law of karma and the wholesome educations. These two kinds of knowledge and action are very important for everyone. If not, he comes to human world just wasting times and doing stupid things only. Blessing, Maṅgala, has the meaning of the cause for progress or success. Not consorting with fools was so important that the Buddha described it first as a foundation. Without following this instruction, and other blessings are also out of reach. What is a fool? Bala. Someone has unwholesome thoughts, speech, and action is bala. It leads to bad results. Therefore, he is a fool. Unwholesome energy or element can spread like a disease. This is the nature of energy. Element also has the nature of the combination. For example, Ven. Sariputta was foremost in wisdom, and his energy spread to his students, who also had wisdom. The monk Devadatta was a renegade to the Buddha, and his students also like him. The negative element or energy not only affected human beings, but also to nature, such as animals, trees, fruits, weather, etc. Positive or wholesome energy is also in the same way. If there are more fools in the world, and it will lead to destruction. Living together with fools is like living with enemies. The Buddha even mentioned that fools made sufferings. If we contemplate the current situations around the world, we'll appreciate this point. Someone consorts with fools not only without benefits in his life, but also next life to come. For example, Prince Ajatasattu was consorting with the renegade monk Devadatta, later killed his father King Bimbisara, and after death fell into hell. Consuming of unwholesome things such as drugs, alcohol, polluted media, etc. is making a person becoming a fool. At last, at the Dhammic level, association with the unwholesome Dharma, greed, aversion, delusion, etc. is foolish, and with the wholesome Dharma is wise. Commentary gave some examples of fool at the time of the Buddha. They were the 6 teachers such as Purana Kassapa, some monks as Devadatta, Kokalika, and the young woman Ginka, etc. The Buddha, noble beings, sages and wise men always warned people of the dangers and misfortunes brought to them by the fools. In a Jataka story, the Bodhisattva was the hermit Akiti. Sakka, the king of Devas, offered a boon to the wise hermit Akiti. The hermit made the following wise prayers of boon from him. J. IV. 236 F. Jat. 480. These were, he might never see or listen to fools, never dwell with them, and might not concert nor agree with them. After the hermit made his boon from him, Sakka asked the hermit why he made these wishes. His answers were, the fool led one to ruin and enjoined one in reckless ways. It was difficult to guide the fool to be good. The fool easily got upset and did not know disciplines. All these points were very important to anyone, and not only for the Bodhisattva. The Buddha Gautama had suffered a lot from many lives as Bodhisattva until his last life by association with Devadatta. In a very long one of their past lives, Devadatta carried the grudge with him to the Bodhisattva out of jealousy and hate. Therefore, he always harmed the Bodhisattva whenever and wherever they met. See many Jataka stories about their meetings. In a sutta of Anguttara Nikaya, and 3.1 Bayasuttam, the Buddha gave an analogy for a fool. Just as a fire that starts in a house made of reeds or grass burns down even a strong and good house closed by, so too, whatever disasters, calamities and perils arose all arise on account of the fool. Not on account of the wise person. They brought all these dangers and misfortunes to others. So, the Buddha compared the fools like a rotten fish, which smeared a leaf and became smelly by using to wrap it. J. IV. 271. Jat. 503 Satagumba Jataka. Protection with Blessings. Maṅgala Sutta. By Venerable Uttamo Thera. 2. Consorting with the Wise. Why did the Buddha encourage us to consort with the wise? It is in order to absorb and saturate wholesome energy or elements into our hearts. The Buddha said, living with fools is living with enemies. With the wise is living with family and relatives. The wise have 3 characteristics: having good, wholesome thoughts, speech, and actions. Practicing accordingly with wholesome education only can be a wise person. Therefore, knowing and not practicing is not a wise man. The Chinese saying said, talking without doing is Fant Ren. Fant Ren means imposter. Are we in this class? It will become a wise man after knowing and practicing, if not only an educated fool. With a lot of knowledge and could talk is still not wise. Live life without dangers and enemies, no suffering and fear, only can be called wise. The Jataka story about 2 parrots was a good example of the fool and the wise. 2 parrot chicks were blown away by the wind. One of them landed at the place of a group of hermits and was looked after by them. It grew up and had the kind nature and good behavior like the group of hermits. The other chick landed at the place of bandits and was looked after by them. It grew up and had violent nature and bad behavior like the bandits. Therefore, making friends and association with people are a very important part of human life. And we should not take it lightly. The commentary mentioned some benefits by association with the wise. They were like guards in the time of dangers, like a lamp for someone in the dark, like someone obtaining foods and drinks when he suffered hunger and thirst. The wise were able to dispel dangers, disasters, calamities, etc. of those who took their advice and suggestion. The commentary mentioned the Buddha, Aryan disciples, bodhisattvas, etc. as wise people. The benefits we can receive by associating with the wise are very clear if we read and study the stories in suttas, such as Dhammapada, Jataka, etc. We should contemplate the following question. Are today human beings becoming wiser? We will get the right answer with the knowledge of Buddha's teachings and sages if we contemplate the current world situations. In the past, Sariputta answered his former teacher Sanjaya as there were more fools than wise men in the world. I don't think today's world is better than the time of Buddha, or even worse than ever. We have now reached the level of a breaking point because of misusing the material progress. We cannot assume that we are better than the ancients if we cannot deal with all the pollution and global warming problems properly. Whether we may survive or perish is in our own hands. If we want to correct ourselves, we have to follow and act accordingly with the wise teachings of the Buddha and ancient sages. Protection with Blessings. Maṅgala Sutta. By Venerable Uttamo Thera. 3. Paying homage to those worthy of homage. With this blessing, we become intelligent and wise and will do the right things. To those worthy of homage are the triple gems, Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, parents, teachers, family members, relatives and people older than us or wise. Especially people have sila, samadhi, and panna. The results of homage, veneration, and respect are a long life, beauty, happiness, strength, and wisdom. Why should pay homage to people? We must think about the qualities and gratitude. The qualities of nobility, purity, etc. A sila, samadhi and panna, in Pali is guna. Having and showing appreciation, respect, gratitude on these guna is paying homage to those worthy of homage. Some people do not have guna but have gratitude on us. Paying homage should base on the metta, goodwill and good volition. Without it is not real homage. The person receiving the homage responds with goodwill, kindness, and compassion. Therefore, both sides develop wholesome mental states. These energies spread to the surroundings. It has good weather and affects the crops, fruits, trees, and plants with the wholesome energy or element. The foods have nutrients, and by eating them, human beings have long life and health. What are the results of homage to things which should not be reverenced? It can be mentioned a lot of them. The outcomes are always negative, harmful, and dangerous. The obvious ones are some religious cult leaders, their cult teachings, and cult followers admiring to some political figures, artists, etc., who do not have moral standards. All these come from ignorance or delusions. Therefore, we should not pay homage to unwholesome or negative dharmas. Instead should pay homage to wholesome or positive dharma, such as sila, samadhi, and panna. The highest homage and veneration are the Buddha, Dharma, and Arya Sangha. They represent sila, samadhi and panna. There was a Jataka story on wrong homage, veneration. In one of his past lives, the Bodhisattva was born into a noble Brahmin family, who were worshipping fire. His parents kindled a fire for him after he was born and looked after for it until the 16 years of age. At this age, a Brahmin youth could choose one of the two ways in his later life. Had a family or continued to worship the fire. He chose the second one and brought the fire with him to the forest and continued the duty. One day he received a cow by begging. He wanted to offer the meat to the fire but had no salt with him. Therefore, he left it at the forest and looking for salt elsewhere. A group of hunters arrived there when he was away. They killed the cow and took all the meat with them. He only found the head, the skin and the tail of the cow after he came back. He came to his common sense. How a fire could protect me even it could not protect its offerings. Therefore, he gave up the wrong practice, lived a hermit life, and practiced jhanas. After he died and born in heaven. Some Brahmins believed that by worshipping fire and after dying born as Brahma gods. Once, a dying Brahmin seeing the hellfire, told people what he had seen. They told him that this was the Brahma heaven and asked to incline his mind towards it. After died and he was born in hell. There are many wrong views and practices in the world. People must have the courage to give up all of them as soon as they know it. It was like the Bodhisattva in this story. After knowing the useless, unbenefited, harmful consequences of views and practices, we should give up instantly, such as terrorism in the name of religion. What is the best offering and veneration or homage? The Buddha mentioned two kinds of veneration, Amisa Puja and Dharma Puja. Amisa Puja, offerings of external objects such as the four requisites, etc. The second is Dharma Puja, offering with Dharma, i.e., practicing Dharma or Dhammanu Dhammapatipatti, practice in accordance with the Dharma. At the time of the Buddha's total unbinding, Mahaparinibbana, the heavenly beings were paying homage and offering of heavenly flowers, sandalwood powder, music, etc. The Buddha said that in all of the offerings, Dharma Puja was the best. The Buddha taught the Maṅgala Sutta 10 verses in groups. The first group of verses, as explained above, had 3 blessings. 1. Not consorting with fools. 2. Consorting with the wise. 3. Paying homage to those worthy of homage. These are very important to fulfill for the other blessings to follow. It can be said fundamentally important. They are connected if we analyze these 3 blessings. Therefore, we know the skills and wisdom of the Buddha in teachings which were very systematic. Hence he was called the teacher of gods and humans. Only we are consorting with the wise and their teachings by practicing them, we will become wise people. And then include in those worthy of homage. The most important point about paying homage is we should not take refuge, worship and veneration to those 3 unwholesome roots of greed, hatred and delusion. By doing so, we will become rats and cockroaches and disgusted by all. It seems to be people are inclining towards that direction. See all the human problems around the world, pollution and global warming. Protection with blessings. Maṅgala Sutta. By Venerable Uttamo Thera. 4. Residing in a suitable place. To reside in a suitable locality or good places. Scholars translate Patirupa Desa as civilized land or suitable place. How do we decide a land or place as civilized or suitable? There can be 2 major groups existed on this subject. These are the worldling and noble beings. Worldling is called because of being full of defilement, kilesa. Therefore, this worldling group is more extensive or variegated according to their views, characters, habits, etc. Majority of worldlings will decide a suitable place as where a lot of material progress and conveniences. These increase their defilement like a superglue. So, a lot of competitions and indulgence in sensual pleasures are going on and on, always in the state of discontentment. Therefore, some world superpowers created a lot of problems around the world to increase their powers and wealth. It created instability in many countries. But they themselves are also not happy if we observe their society problems. there are a lot of unwholesomeness going on. They forget or do not know the basic point for happiness, peace and welfare. This is mental well-being. Material progress can be detrimental without basic mental well-beings. In the same way, we cannot succeed in reducing the global warming without solving the internal cause, the mind. If only dealing with the outer problems, even we can succeed, it does not last long. For noble beings, sages and the wise, the suitable place is for mental well-being where we can develop our sila, samadhi and panna. It does not mean that the Buddha had neglected of material well-being. By studying the Pali texts, we know that the Buddha taught nearly everything which had connection with human beings. Therefore, material well-being is subordinate to mental well-beings. We can know this point very clear by observing today world situations. The Buddha mentioned the importance of locality or places for the development and progress in worldly and spiritual matters. What are the things to choose for a suitable locality? We should consider on education, economy, health, spiritual, etc. We will have no progress for our whole life if living at wherever we are in. It is the best place to reside where there is the chance to realize the path and fruit of the Buddha Dhamma, a place where we can fulfill the perfection, paramis, of the Buddha's teachings. We should reside in countries where there is the Buddha Sasana. In general, a place where can support us for making merits, obtain wealth, education, and health. We can also distinguish a place with 3 periods of human lifespan. When young, a suitable place for education, during the middle period for wealth and the last period for spiritual progress. There are 6 unsurpassed things, Anuttariya Dharma. A place where we can fulfill these 6 noble dharmas is a blessing place. We must live in a suitable and good place to obtain them. The 6 noble dharmas are the unsurpassed sight, the unsurpassed hearing, the unsurpassed gain, the unsurpassed training, the unsurpassed service, the unsurpassed recollection. The unsurpassed sight is seeing the Buddha and Sangha. The unsurpassed gain is faith, saddha, having faith in the triple gems, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and the law of karma. For ordinary worldly people, there are a lot of sights, hearing, and gains for worldly matters which will never end. Some are quite harmful and polluting our hearts. To get the unsurpassed training is sila, samadhi, and panna. The unsurpassed service is serving the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and to the parents. Serving the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha is very important for every Buddhist. Mostly we do not become aware or not knowing it profoundly. This is a very rare chance and opportunity. Why? Because only a Buddha appeared that the triple gems came to existence. Even a Buddha appeared living beings must have had human births and also encountered them. Having a human birth is even quite difficult. In the whole of samsara, we were slaves of our bodies and family members only. Ledi Sayadaw was always looking for chances to serve the Sangha. But the Sangha stopped him from doing the services for them. What he had said or responded to them was very remarkable. He said, in the whole of samsara, his hands were like the slave for the wives and children only. Therefore, he requested him to allow him for serving them. It is true. If we were doing a lot of services for the triple gems in samsara and would not be here anymore. Now, Buddhists should not miss this chance and opportunity. It is very rare to come by. Looking after the parents is also very important in human society. The Chinese filial piety, Shao Tao, is very well known. This education and practices were handed down for many centuries, maybe more than over 5,000 years. Without love, kindness, and filial piety to one's parents, there is no future for someone. The unsurpassed recollection is the qualities of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha gunas. There are a lot of worldly recollections to ordinary worldlings. It is good to have the recollection of one's parent kindness, love, and gratitude. And then, repay to them. Someone who can fulfill the 6 unsurpassed things has the 7 benefits as mentioned in the Satipatthana Sutta: purification of beings, surmounting of sorrow and lamentation, the disappearance of dukkha and discontent, acquiring the true method and realization of nibbana. There was a good story of a sutta representing the Anuttariya Dharma. One time the Buddha was going for alms round and met a group of people. He asked their names and livelihoods. One of them was the fisherman, and his name was Arya, Mr. Noble. But his actions were ignoble. So the Buddha gave him talk on what was noble, and at the end, he entered the stream, became a Sotapanna. From an ignoble person and became a noble person, Arya. This was also he was living in a suitable place for his spiritual progress. I.e., a place had the chance to meet the Buddha and listen to his talk. Here also we can see the inconceivable of the function of karma. Even though Mr. Arya had the potentiality of enlightenment, his past karma sent him to the family of wrong livelihood, taking other lives. So samsara is not a heaven for some Buddhists who want to come and go. Even if it is a suitable place for most people, if someone is very bad and does not make any difference to this person, as, e.g., Devadatta and his followers, even can commit unwholesome actions. So it depends on each person. Therefore, wholesome education is very important. In the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha taught about the 8 unsuitable places and states or situations, Akana Sutta, and point 8, 29/9. Akana Suttam. These are 1 hells, 2 animals, 3 ghosts realms, 4 Brahma gods with only mind and only physical body, 5 a man or woman with unwholesome roots, 6 areas or countries the Buddha Dharma cannot reach, 7 people have wrong views, and 8 the time when no Buddha arose.